bring the tarp out last night. He's in his 26th year. He's from Michigan.
Flags once again blowing straight out here at Wrigley Field today. Quite a show in batting practice. The Cubs did not hit on the field. They had their cuts in the batting cage. Padres did hit on the field.
Dempster versus Hairston. We are underway. That's a fastball for a strike. Padres losers of 10 in a row on the road. Checked his swing and went too far. The last time San Diego lost more than 10 straight away from home was in 1971. They lost a team record 13 straight on the road. I don't really recall that. I would have been about 3 months old at the time.
They were just a year off of expansion, say 1970. And what they're running out there right now, very reminiscent of an expansion ball club.
Foul tip, strike 3.
If you can glean anything from the first batter, it's that Ryan Dempster's got good command of his stuff today. A backdoor sinker to start the sequence. Got a check swing on a hard slider on the outside corner. Tried to lead Hairston off the plate on the 0-2 pitch and then comes right back with another nasty slider to finish him off.
Wind blowing out to right. Temperatures in the 60s. Wind gusting up to 25 miles an hour. Strike 1 on David Eckstein. See how long Dempster goes today. 121 pitches in that start in Milwaukee, a season high, but coming back on normal rest. Randy Wells will go tomorrow. Sean Marshall on Saturday as the Astros come in for the weekend. Be nice to face Gonzalez in the first with nobody on. One and 2 to Eckstein, playing second. One of 2 everyday second basemen in the majors who hasn't committed an error. Clint Barmas of the Rockies is the other. Dribbled past Dempster. Miles quickly to Hoffpauir for the out.
Ted Lilly had good success last night against David Eckstein. Had 3 fly balls to left field. Anytime, even with the wind blowing out, you can get David Eckstein to hit the ball in the air. You like your chances of getting him out.
Well, Ted was really good, particularly battling non-pitcher like conditions with the wind blowing straight out. Quality start, and he got his 5th win.
We saw that 0 in the walk column. That's always important when the wind is blowing out of Wrigley or any ballpark for that matter.
Gonzalez tied for the major league lead in home runs with Albert Pujols and Carlos Pena of the Rays. Alfonso Soriano's 2 home runs off the pace. So is Adam Dunn of the Nationals. Up and in. These guys have their gloves. They're ready for a foul ball today. 2-2.
Well, once again, I know it's just the top half of the first inning, but Dempster's stuff looks as crisp today as we've seen him this year. Slider's good, the splitter's good. He's got great comeback action on that sinker, and so far he's hit his spots with every pitch.
swings and deals. Hit the spot, but it was a little off the plate. That's okay.
Now, if you're going to make mistakes with this guy, make mistakes in your favor. And that time, a little too far off of that inside corner, but you do not want to allow Adrian Gonzalez to get a mistake pitch out over the plate.
He sat on the slider and took ball 4. That's when you know a guy's locked in. These 2 pitches were certainly pitches a lot of guys would go after with 2 strikes, but not Gonzalez.
I'll tell you, for right now, if you're competing against this Padres team, that's not all bad walking Adrian Gonzalez. You have to make somebody else in this lineup show that they can do some damage. And so far in the first 2 games, Adrian Gonzalez has been the Padres offense. There will be a point this summer when other guys heat up in the lineup, and then you really are going to have your work cut out for you trying to work through this Padres lineup. But right now, that's not the case. Get around Adrian Gonzalez, take your chances with anybody else other than him.
Chase Headley struck out a bunch in this set. It's from Fountain, Colorado. Made his major league debut in this ballpark on June 15th of 07. Got his first major league hit 2 days later in that same series, a single off Rich Hill. Natural third baseman playing left. So he got pushed out there by Kevin Kuzminoff, and Kyle Blank's a guy we saw a little bit in spring training. Trying to learn the outfield as well because he's a first baseman.
But most importantly, he's a hitter. And they need to find a place for Kyle Blanks to play on a regular basis. This team is struggling for offense, and he would seemingly be a guy that can provide them with some offense. An old cliche, if you hit, they'll find a place to play.
Dempster got the first 2 and then walked Gonzalez, and the 2-2 to Headley is popped up over on the left side for Bobby Scales. A scoreless first for the Cubs starter. Soriano will lead it off. Make sure you're with us. With all those leadoff homers, he's done it 4 times already this year. Mark playing particularly well at home, winning 6 of their first 7 this month. And here's how they'll line up the Cubs Southwest starting lineup. Soriano, Terrio, Fukudome, Hoffpower in there for Lee, Soto batting 5th, Reed Johnson getting a rare start, Bobby Scales at 3rd, Aaron Miles for Fontenot at 2nd, The pitcher Ryan Dempster bats ninth, and here we go. Godin versus Soriano. Low and outside, ball one. To the Padres defense, and the numbers on their starter here in a second. Former Cub dealing high that time, 2-0.
Making his fourth start at the major league level. I mentioned he had 2 starts in AAA, and both shutouts. Fastball, slider, changeup.
Pretty easy for us today. Always have the starting pitchers page open in the media guide, and just flip from Dempster to Godin, and the Cubs guy. He got released right at the end of spring training. Just missed the cut in the Cubs bullpen, and he went into spring training in that 5th starter battle that was won by Sean Marshall. Chad really had a rough spring and was beaten out by David Patton and Angel Guzman. 3-2.
Yeah, certainly there were some contractual issues, guys with options. Chad Godin did not have options, so but he admittedly said he did not pitch well enough this spring to earn a spot on this Cubs roster. I think he was shocked that he was released, but definitely did not throw well down in Arizona.
Rollover ground out to the shortstop Chris Burke.
Take a look at the rest of the Padres defensively today. Headley in left field, Hairston in center, Giles over in right, Gonzalez at third base, Gonzalez at first base. Yes, they are brothers. Chris Burke at shortstop, David Eckstein at second base. Hank White, Henry Blanco doing the catching today for right-hander Chad Godin.
Terrio with 2 home runs in game 2 after going 0 for 5 in the opener. Swung on and missed. The Menard's big lumber stat, we have focused on Terrio a lot in this department lately. Nice symmetry.
Yeah, very nice. Little man, big lumber.
He pulled the bat back on the bunt attempt.
Bunt.
What is he thinking? Couple of guys from Louisiana. Godin versus Terrio. Low and away. Mike Fontenot out of the lineup today. Ball 4. A 1-out walk in front of Kosuke Fukudome, who's hit in 6 straight, 10 for 23. I like that it came right after an 0 for 13. And with Kosuke's struggles last year, that was the first tough stretch he's really had this year. And I think a lot of people will focus on when he does struggle, can he get out of it? Last year he could not. I think it's been very encouraging.
He's bounced back in a big way from his first slump of this season, and mostly by going to the opposite field. The line drives and deep fly balls to left field. Early in the season, he was pulling the ball to the surprise of everybody. Getting a lot of balls down the right field line in the gap in right center. He went through that little bit of a dry spell, but came back hitting the ball to the opposite field, making adjustments.
His former hitting coach and his mentor in Japan, Ryosuke Sasaki, in town. Spins around 1-2. Well, I should have gotten a pronunciation on it. Might be Kyosuke because it's UKE at the end. Like Posuke and Daisuke, so. Slide step and the pitch is outside.
You have to believe there's a certain comfort level for Kosuke talking to his former hitting coach in his native tongue. I mean, I think a lot has to get lost in the translation when you're working with coaches that only speak English, and you have to go through a translator as you're talking about your struggles at the plate or what you're feeling or how opposing pitchers are going after you. Probably a much more comfortable situation for Kosuke being able to talk to somebody who knows his swing very well and can speak to him in his own language.
Gerald Perry looks on, 2-2 on Fukudome. Burke shading his eyes. Eckstein's there as well, and Burke will catch it. Even if he dropped it, he would have gotten an out at second. And a force play. So 2 down in the inning, and it brings up Michael Hoffpower. Yesterday afternoon, before batting practice, the annual Meet the Team Have a Ball event. A lot of fans filing through on the field at Wrigley, checking out the playing surface, bullpen mounds, what have you, and then getting autographs from their favorite Cubs. About $80,000 was raised for Cubs charities. It's a great annual event. Gary Pressey entertained the Wrigley Field organ. Hoffpower in for Lee. Henry Blanco blocking that pitch. 2 balls, no strikes. So day game after a night game. Bradley getting the day off. Lee, Fontenot.
Good day today.
Wanted to get Reed Johnson in there.
Yeah, Reed hasn't seen the field for quite a while. Good day by Micah today, and he'll take over that lead in rookie batting average.
Sliced foul into the upper deck. I think Lou is really good about giving his regulars time off. I think he's been better this year in doing it, and quite honestly, he's been helped by some nagging day-to-day injuries, but I think it helps a manager, and you can answer this, when you're playing well. A lot harder to give guys days off when you feel like you have to win that day. And it's not that you ever think, oh, we can lose this game. That never crossed Lou's mind last week when he put almost the entire bench in there against Tim Lincecum. But you have to think about the big picture. And you have to have confidence that you can win a game when you throw 4 or 5 guys off the bench into the lineup.
And that means a lot to those bench players to get those opportunities to go out there and play. And like you said, you have to have confidence in your entire roster, because there are going to be day-to-day nagging injuries, and you're going to need your bench to go in there and take those at-bats and play those innings. And if they've just been sitting around for 2 weeks and haven't seen any live pitching, you're probably not going to get the best out of them. So the more you can incorporate your bench, 1 guy here, maybe 2 guys another day, the better your chances of those guys producing when you do need to reach to the bench.
Second walk of the inning. Here's one of the reasons why Lou has been able to give guys more rest. The team overall playing a lot better than it did in April. And now we're getting through a stretch without Aramis Ramirez and Carlos Zambrano. ERA about exactly a half run lower here in May. Good hand for Soto as he bats with 2 on and 2 out. Breaking ball low, and Blanco will go out and talk with Godin.
Out of all the Cubs in the lineup today, you would assume that Giovanni Soto has the best idea of what to expect from Chad Godin in this game, since he received pitches from him last year. Doesn't always translate into offensive success, but you have a much better idea than the rest of your teammates, because you know what those pitches are likely to do. You know what kind of patterns he likes to pitch in. Hopefully that'll work to Gio's benefit today.
Called strike. Cubs have 1 sweep on their resume this season. That was a 2-gamer in Houston last week. They haven't swept anybody in a 3-game set. Trying to do that today. Tied for the best winning percentage in May in all of baseball at 9-3. Been a while since the Cincinnati Reds have been atop the 6-team National League Central. They're in a three-way tie. They have the best road record in baseball. The Reds are 13-5 on the road, only 7-9 at home. And they'll play these Padres in San Diego this weekend. In fact, they're, I'm sure, lounging around there right now with an off day. Ground ball to third, and it's dropped by Gonzalez. Throw goes to first. Safe. Edgar Gonzalez with an error, keeping the inning alive for Reed Johnson.
A little bit of panic there by Edgar Gonzalez after knocking that hard ground ball down. He really got antsy searching for that ball. Didn't get a good handle on it when he went into the glove, and give Giovanni Soto credit for hustling down that first baseline, beating it out.
So bases loaded for Johnson. Last week, his first extra base hit of the year was a bases loaded triple. Getting his 12th start in center. And tough to find a place for him in the lineup because the Cubs haven't faced a lot of lefties. And Kosuke Fukudome has gotten off to such a good start.
And Milton Bradley's been swinging the bat well lately. Or Soriano, every time he steps in the batter's box, he's in scoring position, so it's been tough to find spots to drop Reed Johnson in there.
Godin back to the windup with the bases full. Smack foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cubs don't have a hit. They've walked twice, and Soto reached on an error. Godin strikes him out to escape. Cubs leave him loaded. We've completed 1, 0-0. As the Cubs battle the Houston Astros at 120. Lucky seat winners will be awarded great prizes throughout the game. There's no purchase necessary. For more information, visit Cubs.com. Kind of hope the Astros cool off today in Colorado, as they scored 15 runs on 24 hits last night. Wandy Rodriguez will pitch for them. It's a day game. Jason Hamill for the Rockies. And they'll get underway in about a half hour. Rodriguez 3-2 with a 1.80. Just won't have to face him this weekend. Ryan Giles will ground out. He's batting 5th today, hit 7th last night. That's the lowest he had batted in their lineup since 1998.
And Giles really having trouble getting untracked. He's been one of the more consistent players in all of baseball. Just can't seem to get it going in the early part of the 09 season here.
Ryan Giles wasn't even a Padre the last time he hit 7th. Previous to last night, he was an Indian back in '98. Never hit that low in Pittsburgh, which makes sense because he hit about 35 to 39 home runs every year there. One and one to Edgar Gonzalez. He's made starts at 2nd, 3rd, and right. I don't know if Team Mexico just wore Padres uniforms in the WBC or not, but Edgar Gonzalez, Adrian Gonzalez, Scott Hairston, they were all part of Team Mexico in the Classic. And a lot of guys participate. Henry Blanco played for Venezuela. Who wants it? The center fielder Johnson with the waist-high catch on the warning track. There's a little miscommunication last night between Kosuke and Milton Bradley. Not exactly sure what happened. Might have been misjudged a little bit by Kosuke. Bradley also said that sometimes he'll put his hand out to call for it, and last night he pointed at Kosuke. But that's rare. It hopefully won't happen again.
A little miscommunication of the non-verbal variety. Milton was pointing at Kosuke, as you said, indicating that that's your ball. Go ahead and take it. Get that ironed out.
The wind was playing tricks as well, as Kosuke got all the way back to the track and the ball didn't go as far as maybe he thought it would. Chris Burke is in for Luis Rodriguez.
And I was with you on that play last night, Len. I assumed that Kosuke was getting behind the ball. He does such a great job of getting behind those fly balls so that when he catches it, his momentum is carrying him toward the infield. And it looked like that's what he was lining up to do, but then he never made that charge forward to catch the ball.
Padres really hurting in that shortstop area with Everth Cabrera on the DL and Luis Rodriguez ready to join him. In on the hands and fouled back. And that is not a position where you want to mix and match.
We talked about it briefly last night. One of the issues that the Padres have had is that revolving door at shortstop. And as you said, that's a key position. Behind the plate, your two middle infielders and your center fielder, you like to have some consistency in playing time right there so the guys can work together. Such key defensive positions on the field.
Dempster's 2-2 is rolled to Terrio gloves, up with it quickly. And that's a 1-2-3 second for Dempster. Bottom two coming up. Scales, Miles, and Def for the Cubs. He's 2 for 2 as a pinch hitter. Cubs were able to get the ball from the fan who got it out in the bleachers. That'll earn you playing time, but I also think that if he continues to do damage off the bench, that'll bode very well for him when Ramirez comes back from the disabled list. That might be more important in the big picture in terms of Bobby Scales remaining on this roster for the long haul.
Well, certainly his versatility will play a big factor. But yeah, that role coming off the bench late, those big pinch hit at bats, the fact that he's a switch hitter, runs better than average, all works in his favor.
Bobby's playing third. Pitch by Godin. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Scales was with the Padres from '99 when he signed, 14th round pick in that draft. And he was with San Diego till 2005. Never did get to the majors. Henry thought that was strike 3. He was ready to fire to third, but it wasn't called a strike. 2-2.
Just a tad below the knees there as across the front of the plate. Good take by Bobby Scales. You really see a difference in sliders in this ball game today. If you watch Chad Godin, his slider sits in the high 70s, occasionally touch low 80, but it's very flat. It stays on the same plane as it breaks across the plate. Ryan Dempster's, on the other hand, goes almost straight down as it gets into the hitting zone. Just a difference in grip, a difference in release point and arm angle. One slider very flat, the other one has a lot of downward movement, or tilt, as they like to say.
Nice job, Bobby Scales. It was 0-2, and he ended up walking. A night of firsts around baseball. Caparo with the Diamondbacks. First at bat, home run. Chris Coughlin with Florida went deep. Brett Gardner with the Yankees. A bunch of firsts. Called strike to Aaron Miles.
It'll be interesting to watch that unfolding situation in Arizona. They have a lot of issues, to say the least, but Parra comes up and hits a home run in his first major league at bat. Chris Young sent to the bench last night after really struggling in the early going this season. It'll be interesting to see how that situation resolves itself.
Cubs have been waiting out Godin, who's walked 3 in the early going. 4th start for Godin. 2 good ones, 1 bad one. Scales takes off. And stay out of the double play as Burke tosses to first to get Miles.
That'll go down as an 0 for 1 for Aaron Miles, but protecting the runner on the hit and run puts the ball in play on the ground to stay out of the double play. Indirectly, that accomplishes the same thing as a sacrifice bunt. Of course, you're not going to sacrifice bunt a runner to second base for your pitcher, but it works the same nonetheless.
Inside, ball 1. Well, I guess MLB looked into the pitch that was deemed to have hit Ryan Braun in the helmet in Dempster's last start. We had the replay, and it hit his bat, not his helmet. Braun had squared the bunt. MLB determining no punishment was warranted, which I think was the appropriate decision.
Absolutely. And just the fact that Ryan Braun was thinking about bunting put his head much closer to that inside corner of the plate. He drops that back foot and leans forward in an attempt to put the ball down. And when the pitch sailed up and in, it wasn't really head high if he was assuming his normal stance in the batter's box. So no punishment necessary.
It's 2-1 on Dempster. He can help himself with his first hit of the season. He's 0 for 15. 9 career RBIs. Still looking for his first home run. Shatters his bat as he grounds out to Gonzalez, who will just apply the tag. That bat ended up in 3 different pieces. Ticket sales are at a record pace, but plenty of tickets are still available for the 2009 season. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Call 1-800-THE-CUBS or visit the Wrigley Field box office. Scales now at third. And it's Soriano who grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. Seems like when Godin has missed with his slider, it's been blown outside, and with his fastball, it's been up and in. That slider was in there for a strike. So far, he's been, I guess, effectively wide. Able to get the outs when he's needed them. That's a big pitch. Just caught the outside part of the plate.
That's a good take by Fonzie, though. You don't want him swinging at that pitch anyway. Not much you can do with it. Slider caught a lot more of the plate. That pitch that's down there around the knees, a little below the knees, as long as it's over the plate, that's a ball Fonzie's going to come out of his shoes swinging at. One of the best low ball hitters in the game. It's down around the knees, middle of the plate. Got a piece of Henry Blanco before heading to the backstop.
Swing and a miss. For his second strikeout, Cubs have left 4 through 2 innings, still scoreless.
Bundles to fit your needs. Get 10,000 choices of on-demand programming ready to pick and play whenever. Comcast has a bundle for you. Call 1-888-4BEST-TV.
Henry Blanco batting 8th and leading off the 3rd. Had a big WBC during which he homered off Ted Lilly. That was in Toronto. Slugged over 900 in that tournament. 5 for 10, 2 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, 8 runs in just 5 games for Henry. Three and one. Godin and then Hairston in this inning. A pop up on a 3-1. Bobby Scales with the catch and foul ground. You love those outs as a pitcher. On a 3-1, you can get a guy to pop out to third.
Especially with the pitcher following. Keep that leadoff man off base. Force Chad Godin to come to the plate and swing the bat rather than put down a sacrifice bunt.
My guess would be, without talking to their hitting coach, former Cubs manager Jim Lefebvre, that when you go through a team-wide slump like the Padres have, I mean, they're last in the majors in runs, you're probably going to get some swings like that, and it kind of starts to feed off itself. You feel like, I've got to be the guy to get us out of this, and then you foul out on a 3-1. Adrian Gonzalez last night, as great a series as he's had, on a 3-0 pitch, he bounced out to second.
Five and 15 on the road. Actually hit better on the road for average than they have at home. Scored more runs, but pitching has been considerably worse on the road.
Godin waves at strike 3.
Talked about the difference between the Dempster slider and the Godin slider. Also a little difference in approach by the leadoff hitters. You notice Scott Hairston stayed in the on-deck circle until Chad Godin was all the way back to that first base dugout. Only then did he start his trip up to the plate, taking his time, digging into the box, giving his pitcher a little bit of an opportunity to put his jacket on, get a drink of water, and regroup before he has to go back out and take the mound, as opposed to Fonzie. He runs up to home plate. He can't wait to get in that batter's box. Pitcher will find some time to catch his breath.
One ball, no strikes on Hairston. In the dirt, they'll get a new ball, 2-0. Milwaukee leading Florida 5-3 in the last of the 6th. That's their first hit. It comes with 2 outs in the 3rd. They'll keep it alive for Eckstein. In that game in Milwaukee, Fielder and Hall have homered for the Brewers, and Ross Gload finally got his first home run. He thought he had it last night, but replay showed that the ball was foul. He was one of 2 players last night to have home runs taken away. It's going to be another. Adam LaRoche and Ross Gload had home runs reversed. It's the first time since replay was instituted that home runs were taken away. LaRoche credited with a double. Gload, it was a foul ball, and then he eventually struck out.
Yeah, but I think the bottom line is Major League Baseball has learned that replay on those disputed home run calls has not been the major distraction everybody thought it was going to be.
Have we seen one? Did we see one late last year? I don't even know if we saw one. I don't recall. That's how, I guess, innocuous it's been. I don't even remember having a replay in one of our games later.
Now, if they would have had it in years past, what was it, 2 years ago, we had several disputed home runs, whether they hit the basket and came back on the field, did they hit the fans and come back on the field? About 4 or 5 of them that one season.
And there were a lot of them hit by visiting players that were called in play, and they had clearly gone into the basket and should have been home runs.
I think like a lot of other things in baseball, it'll probably run in streaks. You may see half a dozen or more in a week and then maybe not see another one for 2 or 3 weeks. I think it's a good thing to have in place.
Bounce to the second baseman, Miles, up with it, and they get the third out. So Adrian Gonzalez will have to lead off the fourth, but first things first, Ryan Theriot will lead off the bottom of the third. Theriot, Fukudome, and Hoffpower. As the Cubs look for their first hit, they had better chances than the Padres, but only one hit in the game. That belongs to Scott Hairston. Two 2-0. Theriot walked in the opening inning.
Home run hitters count right here, 2-0. These are the situations where the Riot has looked to drive the ball a little more since getting the advice from his skipper. Not even close on the 2-0 pitch. And I don't think Lou was insinuating that Ryan Theriot was going to be a 25 or 30 home run hitter. He just said, pick your spots. Runners on base know how they're going to try to pitch you, and every now and then look to drive that ball. Put it in a gap. Put it off the fence somewhere. Clear the bases. Average down a little bit in May, but the home run's way up.
Fly ball to right. Giles going back on it, looking back at the wall. It's going to be off the ivy, and it'll be a double for Theriot. So he drives it the other way, up into the wind for another extra base hit.
It's getting crazy now. Starting to go oppo. Belt high fastball, middle of the plate. Doesn't try to pull it, just stays with it. In the past, that's a pitch that Ryan Theriot would have flared over the second baseman's head in front of the right fielder. Content to take a single, but took a bigger cut that time. Got the barrel of the bat on the ball and banged it off the vines out there.
Edgar Gonzalez sneaks in at third as Kosuke does not show bunt. Ball one.
Kosuke has bin known to bunt on his own in this situation, trying to bunt for a base hit, figuring the worst that can happen is you move that runner from second to third base. And the best thing that could happen is you have runners on the corners and nobody out.
Godin has been getting behind in the count a lot. Is 3 out of 12 in the first pitch strike department. And he's gone 3-0 on the first 2 batters this inning. Now, Cub fans remember Godin strictly as a reliever. 24 appearances last year after he came over in that Rich Harden deal. But the year before that, 2007, he made 34 starts for the Oakland A's. He was 2 outs shy of 200 innings. This is the role he prefers as a starter. Getting another opportunity with San Diego. Suffered a back injury late last year, missed the first 3 weeks of September, came right back at the end of the regular season, but was left off the division series roster. Big leg kick. It's outside, ball 4, 2 on, no outs.
That's a common approach for pitchers with a runner at second base and nobody out. You want to pitch that left-handed hitter away and try to force him to hit the ground ball to the left side of the infield, so that runner has to stay at second base. But that time Godin just couldn't find the outside part of that strike zone and ended up walking Fukudome. Hey fans, watch the Cubs take on the Astros this Sunday at 1:20. Kids, get to the ballpark early. The first 5,000 children 13 and younger will receive a Webkins Littlekins Panda Bear, compliments of Pepsi. Aw, isn't it cute? Isn't it cute?
So the Astros are in for the weekend. Oler, Oswalt, Paulino on the mound for Houston. Wells, Marshall, and Harden for the Cubs. We'll have the middle game of that series at noon on Saturday here on Comcast Sportsnet. Off day Monday, then back to the road in St. Louis and San Diego. Michael Hoffpower hits it foul back to the barrier. We'll send out get well wishes to Tommy Dosek. His Aunt Mary knows that he spent the morning getting ahead in his schoolwork before watching the game today. Finish your homework, Tommy.
That's right.
You're feeling better. Happy 90th birthday wishes to John Housen from Chicago. Happy 10th birthday to his granddaughter Megan, also from Chicago. Oh, 2 to Hoffpower, stays alive.
Got a good 0-2 pitch to take a rip at right there. And then we talk all the time about how baseball is just a game of repetition. You do things over and over and over again until eventually it's just second nature. You don't think about it, you just react. These 0-2 counts with runners on base, the repetition is on the part of the base coaches to remind the runners, be ready to go on a ball in the dirt. Those 0-2 counts, a lot of pitchers like to waste a pitch in the dirt. Just continually alert the runners. Hey, heads up 0-2, watch for a pitch in the dirt. Especially if you have an opposing pitcher that throws a lot of split-fingered fastballs or 12-6 curveballs, pitches that are more likely to end up in the dirt.
Quaddy at third base. Matt Sinatra over there at first. High fly ball for Hoffpower. Giles is going to have room. He just got under it. Terrio, however, will tag. He's at third with one out. Micah just missed it.
Just a little too much air under that ball. Got under that delivery just enough to keep it in the ballpark. Giles was playing fairly shallow. Had a long way to run, using his bare hand to try to shield his eyes. Makes the catch on the warning track in deep right center field.
Another chance for Soto with runners on base. Reached down an error as last time. They were at first and second with 2 outs. Now first and third with only 1. Lou would have considered giving Gio the day off, but we mentioned the other regulars out of the lineup. So Soto in there again today. Wouldn't be shocked if Coy Hill gets to start this weekend against the Astros. Drilled to right, but Giles is going to catch it. It'll be a sac fly as Soto gives the Cubs a 1-0 lead. Good approach. It results in an RBI sac fly.
A well struck ball to right field right there by Giovanni Soto on a line to Brian Giles in deep right field. You'd like to obviously do a lot of damage, but the Cubs will take that first run, get on the board. Plenty of time for Terrio to jog home with the first run of the game.
Fukudome left at first, 2 outs, and called strike on Reed Johnson.
Barely a stop that time by Godin. Went from his set position right into his delivery with barely a hesitation. It's quick pitching. That hitter, you expect that pitcher to come to a complete stop at some point, gather yourself and get ready to make your swing, but that first pitch Godin just glided right into the delivery. Johnson obviously lost his focus and concentration right there on that pitch. Step back away as he took a called strike.
Whistled out in the left and deep, and it's hauled in by Headley. That one looked like it was in on the hands, and Johnson gave it a ride, but for an out. Sac fly for Soto. It's 1-0 Cubs after 3. games. That shot right there, he hit a lot of home runs in that area. Adrian Gonzalez, a 2-homer night in game 2. He walked in the first inning. The 0-1 from Dempster is up. A ball and a strike. Dempster's gone 6 innings. At the very least, every time out, 7 consecutive starts. With at least 6 innings of work.
And then it's no secret that the Cubs bullpen has struggled throughout the first month or so of the season, and especially having trouble throwing strikes. Imagine the struggles that would be if Dempster and Ted Lilly and even Zambrano before the injury had not been pitching as deep into the ball games as they were. And the problem you really run into is when you have a streak of starts where your starting pitcher gets blown up in the 3rd or 4th inning. Then you really tax that bullpen.
3-1, and we're going to be tied as that ball, I think, is on Sheffield. Gonzalez with his first career hit versus Ryan Dempster, and he's a man who cannot be stopped in this series. That's his 4th homer in the series. He's homered now in 4 straight games going back to Sunday in Houston.
He is the best hitter in the world. At least in this 3-game series he has been. This is a split-fingered fastball. Stays up in the middle of the thighs, inside part of the plate. A no-doubter off the bat of Adrian Gonzalez to his pull field this time.
First homer of the season to end up landing on Sheffield. Micah Hoffpower hit one to the back aisle out in the bleachers earlier this year, and Micah will retire Chase Headley for the first out. That's the first homer that he's hit to the pull field in the series.
You know, we were talking earlier about Brian Giles and what a consistent player he's been throughout his career. Look at the stretch between 1999 and 2002. I don't know how you can be a more consistent offensive player than those numbers he was able to put up as a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Still has a very good eye at the plate. He should be hitting for average. He's not. But not nearly as much power as he once had. He's slugging .219. That's unbelievable. Guy who has slugged over 500 in his career. His on-base percentage .401. And it's been a miserable start for Giles. 3-0. Giles has not only killed Dempster, but has always been good against the Cubs in general. 16 for 37 off Ryan Dempster. Called strike to fill up the count at 3-2. Giles today tying Phil Nevin for 10th place on the all-time games played list in Padres history, 806 games.
Dempster had a specific pitch in mind he wanted to throw here to Brian Giles on the full count, and Giovanni Soto didn't hit it in that sequence. Try it again. I've been watching Giovanni Soto working with Dempster today, and it's a sign of what happens after you get comfortable with a pitcher that you're working with. He hangs down the first sign. If Dempster shakes it off, he immediately goes to what he thinks Dempster wants to throw next, and most of the time he's been absolutely right on. If you don't want to throw a fastball away, you must want to throw the slider in. If you don't want to throw the slider, you must want to throw the splitter. That saves a lot of downtime for the pitcher out there shaking his head, shaking his head, shaking his head. A lot of times the young catcher will just start with one. If you shake it off, he goes to two. If you shake it off, he goes to three. If you shake it off, he goes to four. But after you work with a pitcher a certain amount of time, you know if he doesn't want to throw that one, he must want to throw this one.
Well, he wanted to throw a heater, and Reed Johnson caught it. Nicely done.
Well, he wanted to throw that off the body sinker to Brian Giles. And Giles, with that open stance, he got to it. The ball straight out over the plate a little bit, hit it a long way to center field, but a nice adjustment at the very end by Reed Johnson, making the over-the-shoulder catch before crashing into the wall.
We've talked about the background of Reed Johnson. When he was a kid, he was a gymnast. And I think that you see the great balance he has defensively. He never looks uncomfortable or in a bad position. He has great balance out there.
Great balance, great body control to be able to twist and turn and make those last-second adjustments.
But back to that mound conference. Gio didn't go out and Demp said, I'm going to throw this pitch. He said, okay. You saw Ryan was talking for a while, so it was almost like a philosophical discussion about how to handle that 3-2 pitch.
And that's valuable information that Giovanni Soto will use next time he catches Ryan Dempster. And you have a similar type of hitter in a similar situation. Dig back to the memory banks and say, oh, yeah, I know what he wants to throw here.
But it also looked like Ryan was explaining himself, and I think was giving Gio an opening to chime in. Well, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? I'm sure some pitchers would just go, this is what I'm going to throw. Get back behind the plate.
Get back there and don't let it roll to the backstop.
(3-2) on Edgar Gonzalez. His brother just tied it with a leadoff home run. Skied into center. Much easier play for Reed. The man who cannot be stopped has done it again. It's 1-1. And we'll get the answer. Who holds the Cubs record for the most career multi-home run games? Got to be Sammy, right? Sammy Sosa with 65. It's a runaway.
Sammy used to hit a few down the street.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
65 multi-homer games. Back to even at 1 apiece. Bobby Scales at the plate. Godin has danced around some trouble. He has walked 4. He's only given up 1 hit, but that was a leadoff double to Terrio in the 3rd, and Ryan would later come around to score. Kind of feel like it's one of 2 things the rest of the way for Godin. Either he's going to start throwing strikes early in the count, or the Cubs are going to score a bunch of runs. Just don't think he can continue to survive getting down 3-0 as much as he has. Great afternoon to be out on the rooftop.
Just about to say that.
Anywhere in the sun. Feels nice in the shade too. Godin coming back and getting Bobby Scales. The Menards grounds crew didn't get a lot of sleep last night. They did a great job keeping the field playable. Went through a total of 3 rain delays. After the 3rd one that lasted almost an hour, they called it. The Cubs won 6-4.
And once again, after taking just a bucket load of rain on this field last night, it looks wonderful today. Great playing condition.
You'd never know it. We got that much rain. You look at the warning track around the entire playing surface. It looks great. One and 2, so he's ahead of Miles.
And for our Jimmy John's delivery, Chad Godin pitching out of the windup, especially in that last inning with the runner at 3rd base. Over 3 seconds it takes him from that windup position to get the ball into the hitting zone. Jacoby Ellsbury earlier this year, Jason Worth the other day for the Philadelphia Phillies. The steal of home is coming back. The right guy on base with Chad Godin pitching out of the windup with the runner on 3rd base might be something worth thinking about. So Jimmy John's delivery of the day, America's favorite sandwich delivery, guys.
Godin clearly more comfortable from the windup than the stretch. Two and 2.
That's not uncommon for pitchers to prefer throwing out of the windup when at all possible, but usually you'll see that pitcher take a peek at the runner at 3rd base before he starts his windup. Godin never looked over to 3rd to check the runner, see where his leadoff was.
Miles was late. That's a strikeout. The Worth steal of home actually started on a toss back to the pitcher against the Dodgers. Russell Martin wasn't paying close attention to him. Tossed the ball back to the pitcher. Worth took off. By the time the pitcher got it back to Martin, he was safe. Heads up play.
Yeah, I like that. Pay attention. Sometimes you see a starting pitcher with the runner at 3rd as he gets the throw back from the catcher. He will always turn to the 1st base side, turn his back to the runner.
Fair ball backhanded by Edgar Gonzalez. He gets it over to brother Adrian. And the Cubs go down 1-2-3 across for the first time. 1-1 after 4. Thanks to McDonald's Appetite Stimulus Package. A hot sandwich, a cold drink, and delicious fries, all for under $5. Speaking of 5, we're in the 5th inning. Before we get started, a happy birthday wish goes out to our technical manager, Mark Harper. It says here his 25th. It's the 25th anniversary of his 25th birthday. Happy birthday, Mark.
Absolutely.
Chris Burke batting 7th today ahead of Henry Blanco and Chad Godin. They'll all bat in this inning. 1-0 the count. 3 hits combined. The Padres have 2 of them, including Adrian Gonzalez's 4th home run in the series. Umpire Paul Schreiber has apologized for making contact with Maglio Ordonez last night in Minnesota. That was a wild game, won by the Twins on a game-ending Joe Crede grand slam in the 13th. But earlier, Ordonez was called out on strikes, was arguing that the pitch was not a strike, and Schreiber has put his hand on Ordonez's back. And as Fukudome will catch it to get him away from home plate, and Schreiber explained it today, so I didn't have to eject it. Now, there was no ill will intended, but because there was contact, I don't think the Tigers were that pleased. Jim Leland ended up getting ejected in that game, came to the defense of his player. So Schreiber admitted, I shouldn't have touched it.
You think that would work for a player that touched an umpire? Just apologize and it will go away? I don't think so.
Well, the Cubs are dealing with that situation right now. Milton Bradley appeared to make minor inadvertent contact with Larry Vanover. He was suspended for 2 games, and they're still waiting on his appeal. Off power with the catch. Blanco is out. And I don't think there was any intention to touch the umpire in that situation. Some managers used to turn their hat around so they could get even closer to the umpire without touching him.
Earl Weaver was notorious for that, flipping his hat around, putting the bill in the back so he could get right up in the grill of that umpire. I never liked to get that close to him.
Jim Leland in the story, Associated Press story, saying he had never seen an umpire make contact with a player, and he started managing in 1971, but he did then add that he didn't think that there was anything to it, that it was on purpose. That's foul. Quote, I want to defend the umpire in a sense that he did not do it with any intentional, physically really challenge of the player or anything like that. I have no problem with that umpire. I do have a problem with what he did. You can't do it, but it wasn't something that was a violent gesture.
No touching. Both the Georgia Satellites, keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah. You may be sitting there listening going, guys, what's the big deal? I mean, you're nitpicking here. Well, I think the more you think about it, called strike 3, and we'll touch on a little bit later, is when you're in the heat of a battle, if you touch a guy, even if you don't mean it, it can escalate. 1-1. Adrian Gonzalez has been the star offensive player. Another home run today to tie it. And just, Bob, as I had mentioned, Chad Gaudin could go one of two ways. He seemed to find his command.
It's kind of an odd game for Chad Gaudin because he either misses the strike zone by such a large margin that the Cubs hitters aren't tempted to swing at it, or he makes really good pitches right on the edge of the zone. You'd have to believe at some point, though, falling behind the count as often as he has against these Cubs hitters, it's going to come back to bite him.
Third time through the order, Soriano 0 for 2, now 0 for 4 in his career against Gaudin, who's facing the Cubs for the first time. And Soriano pops it up on the infield. Eckstein backpedaling and grabbing for the out. 7 straight retired by Gaudin. Plan your next corporate function or family gathering in the comfort of the Wrigley Field Mezzanine Suites, presented by Nuveen Investments. Suites are available now for games during the season. Be sure to ask about the May incentives. To book your suite or for more info, visit Cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-Cubs. Last word on the contact with umpires. We're talking during the break. I recall Pete Rose shoving an umpire, and you mentioned Dave Pallone.
I believe it was Dave Pallone. Yeah, he shoved him twice.
Hopefully we won't see anything like that again. Yeah, I don't know how long he was suspended, but it'll be a lot longer now than it was back then. Well, Lou used to kick dirt. MLB doesn't like that anymore. You didn't kick dirt. You just very nicely. Did you use your hands and just?
No, I just used my shoe, but I was very careful to cover the plate completely. You know, so many times you see the manager get upset and start kicking dirt toward home plate, and it goes all over the place, but it doesn't cover the plate. I wanted to make my point that with the strike zone the umpire was calling that night, we didn't need a plate anymore.
Oh, that's priceless. Terrio on all 3 times, 2 walks and a double.
Once again, another situation where Gaudin figures to work Kosuke from the middle of the plate away. Got that hole on the right side of the infield. If he gets a pitch inside, he might be able to roll over, hit a ground ball into right field, and play a little first to third.
Another former Cub recently released, Luis Vizcaino, has signed as a free agent with the Cleveland Indians. Made 4 relief appearances with the Cubs. Kosuke showing bunt, taking it outside. Starter Jeremy Sowers was optioned to AAA Columbus to make room for the right-hander Vizcaino. So we'll see him back at Wrigley Field in June, along with Kerry Wood and Mark DeRosa. Troy Tulowitzki out of the Rockies lineup this afternoon against Houston. Got hit on the elbow on a pitch last night from Alberto Arias in the 7th inning. And Jeff Geary of the Astros has been put on the disabled list with tendonitis in his right biceps. Jeff Fulcino brought back from AAA.
Another quick pitch there on the 1-2 pitch to Kosuke. Gaudin has gotten away with it a couple times in this ball game. Should Matt Sinatra, perhaps Mike Quaddy, maybe somebody from the Cubs bench is yelling out there, make him stop, make him stop.
Godin ready. Long pause. And it's hit foul. Astros got 3, Bob, in the first, so they lead in the second at Colorado.
Of course, after you yell at the umpires, make him stop, you know that pitcher's going to hesitate for 5 seconds before he delivers the next couple pitches, and then everybody forgets about it, and he sneaks in another quick pitch at some point down the road.
Yep. Even if the Cubs win today, they can't jump into first place because Milwaukee just beat Florida 5-3. Brewers playing excellent ball lately. They're 21-14, 12-7 at home. And Florida is under 500. After an 11-1 start, they're 17-18. They're 2-10 versus the Central. Cubs beat them 3 of 4 here in the last homestand. That's low. Terry will fake towards second. 3-2 on Kosuke. Got him.
Like that time Ryan spun his wheels a little bit before diving back into first base. Sometimes you don't get your best footing. You can see that left foot kind of slipped out, has to reach for the bag with the left hand just to make Adrian Gonzalez come back as far as possible with that tag. See him on the far outside part of the base.
He took off on the 3-2 and was hit foul to Matt Sinatra.
Lesson for young base stealers out there. When you take your lead between first and second, you start out in a direct line and then take one step backwards behind the baseline. That way on those pickoff attempts you'll be going to the back corner of the bag, making that first baseman go a long way to make the tag. There's road work in now.
Terrio runs again, ball 4. Walk number 6 for Godin. Brings up Hoffpower.
Micah just missed a 3-run homer back in that third inning. Hit a towering fly ball to the warning track in right center field.
That deep fly did is move Terrio to third, where he scored on Giovanni Soto's sacrifice fly. Here we go. Low and away. Detroit scored 5 in the 6th, but the Twins just played it 6 in the 7th to lead 6-5. They're now in the 8th. As Godin has reached 100 pitches, only in the 5th. 3 balls, no strikes. Seattle 2, Texas nothing. Top of the 8th in Arlington. Boston and the Angels just underway. Scoreless in the first. Here it's 1-1. The Cubs trying to get the lead back after Gonzalez tied it with a home run in the 4th, and they're loaded up for Soto.
You saw Lou there at the top step of the dugout talking to Mike Quade down in the third base coach's box, and I think he was just making sure that Hoffpauir had the green light on 3-0. Mike approached that pitch. If it would have been in the strike zone, he looked like he was ready to swing at it.
Bud Black coming out after his starter just walked him loaded. Darren Bosley is their pitching coach, but Bud Black pitched in the majors for a long time. He's going to make the change. So Luis Perdomo, a right-hander, will come in with the bases full of Cubs and only 1 out. Blue Shield of Illinois at 866-575 blue. Big spot in this ball game. Bases loaded, 1 out, a 1-1 tie in the 5th. Luis Perdomo is on. He made his major league debut against the Mets in New York about a month ago, and he faces Giovanni Soto. Outside, ball 1.
Perdomo hasn't given up an earned run in his last 3 appearances over 5 1/3 innings. Big knock here.
Padres in double play depth all the way around their infield. The kick and the pitch squirted away from Blanco, but only a few feet. 2-0. Chad Godin gave up 1 hit. But what knocked him out was 7 walks.
So far, only the 1 run scored by the Cubs. You walk 7 guys with the wind blowing out of Wrigley Field. Usually your ERA is going to take a beating.
Missed again, 3-0. was the 6th time the Cubs batter was in a 3-0 count.
Got the high strike call there. Pitch up above the belt a little bit.
He walked him, and the Cubs lead again. 2 go-ahead RBIs for Soto on the day. This one in the form of a bases-loaded walk.
This is reminiscent of the early part of the season last year when the Cubs hitters just refused to chase bad pitches, willing to take that base on balls and set the table for the next hitter.
The pitch to Reed Johnson. Laid off the breaking ball. It's outside as Blanco will head out.
It's the second time this year that Giovanni Soto has taken a bases-loaded walk to drive in a run. He also did it against the San Francisco Giants back on May 4th. Now, that may not seem like much, but as a hitter, you want to swing that bat with the bases loaded. You want to do some damage, drive in multiple runs, but if you don't get your pitch, take the base on balls.
And create a big-time RBI chance for the guy behind you in the lineup. It's unselfish. If you bat behind a guy who takes a lot of bases-loaded walks, we're going to appreciate you a lot, as opposed to hitting into inning-ending double plays, things like that. Everybody wants to bat with the bases loaded. Reed Johnson to deep left, back toward the wall, off the wall. They're going to get 2. He just missed a grand slam. It's 4-1, a 2-run double for Reed Johnson.
Has to feel good for Reed Johnson. His playing time has really been limited because of the amount of right-handed pitchers that we've seen recently, but comes through with a big double off the wall there with the bases loaded. I was joking with him before the ball game. You remember where to go after you get to first base. You take a left, then you go to second, take another left. If you need any help, just look upstairs. I'll tell you which direction to go. Well, Reed knows where he's going.
All these runs charged to go down as Bobby Scales bats with the infield in. And runners at second and third. It's 4-1 Cubs. Reed's taken a couple of really nice passes at the ball. He flied deep to the warning track in the 3rd inning. And poked a double off the wall to drive in 2 here in the 5th. Sanchez up for the visitors. Three balls, no strikes.
Take a look around. See all these guys standing out here in the blue shirts with the gloves on. We're here to help you. Throw the ball over the plate.
Well, last year, Perdomo split the season between Single A and Double A in the Cleveland and St. Louis organizations. Rule 5 pick. In San Francisco. Couple more are going to score. Bobby Scales has hit a 2-run double. Bobby has hit in all 6 to start his major league career. They've opened up a 5-run lead.
Well, that pitch is up and out over the plate, probably out of the strike zone away, but Scales goes out, hooks it back to the gap in right center field to plate 2 more.
That's it for Perdomo. Sanchez coming in. Big 5-run fifth, and they're not done yet. Runner at second with 1 out. And the Cubs leading as they go for the sweep. We'll be back. Struggle for Sanchez. He's given up runs in 4 of his past 6 appearances. Ball 1 on Aaron Miles. Sanchez was not even with the Padres until he signed a minor league deal on March 23rd. Pulled foul by Aaron. 5 runs in, 6-1. Bobby Scales now with a 6-game hitting streak, the longest to start a major league career by a member of the Cubs since Jerome Walton hit in his first 7 in 1989.
Jerome Walton went on to win the Rookie of the Year award that year, finishing just ahead of teammate Dwight Smith. Not sure if Bobby Scales is going to get enough playing time to qualify for the Rookie of the Year award, but if he keeps hitting like this, you never know.
Cubs have had their offense working in this series. They've scored 6 runs in each game. Swing and a miss. 3-2. Punched in the left, but it'll be caught by Headley. Snaps a string of 6 straight batters reaching base. 4 walks and then 2 two-run doubles. And it's up to the pitcher, Dempster, the 9th Cub to bat in the inning. Sanchez with a unique leg kick. Front foot comes way behind the back leg. before he comes to the plate. A floater out into right center. Eckstein can't get it. And Scales will score. Ryan Dempster with his first hit of the season. Snapping an 0 for 17. It's 7-1.
See the delivery by Sanchez, the left foot going way behind the right leg, and Ryan Dempster driving that ball into right field for his first base hit of the season. At least that's what he's going to tell everybody after the ball game that didn't see it. There was a time early in his career Juaner Sanchez threw extremely hard. He was in the upper 90s. Unfortunately, didn't have a real good idea where the ball was going.
His career was derailed by a taxi accident in Miami in 2006. Separated right shoulder. Ended up with a shoulder fracture. It was repaired. He missed all of 2007. He was once clocked at 103 in the minors. That's how hard he threw.
He's a different style of pitcher now. Tries to throw a sinker and a slider. Swing speeds occasionally, really flies open with the front side. The left foot steps more toward first base than directly in a line toward home.
Five walks in the inning. Nine in the ball game. Has to be tough to watch for Bud Black.
Bud Black was an outstanding pitching coach for the Los Angeles Angels under Mike Scioscia before becoming the manager here in San Diego. This has got to be really tough for him to watch.
2 on for Ryan Theriot. Wide and low.
It gets back to that cliche about the ingredients to make chicken salad, and unfortunately he doesn't have all the ingredients on his pitching staff this year.
Is that what you had for lunch? Your PB&J again.
With the tuna today.
Tuna today.
Yep.
Ground ball backing up Gonzalez. He'll underhand to Sanchez. And that ends the inning. Cub fans getting up on their feet. The home team scored 6, and they lead 7-1. with the solid Toronto Blue Jays. Sox and Jays in HD. Tomorrow night at 6 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. Cubs with 6 in the 5th. They lead 7-1. Ryan Dempster a part of that with his first hit of the year. First RBI of the season as well, and he faces the top of the order.
Well, how about that Blue Jays ball club you mentioned? 10 games over 500.
Check swing, a ground ball, off power by himself.
They lead the American League with a .291 team batting average, 3rd in pitching ERA, 2nd in fielding percentage. Having themselves a real nice start to the season.
I've never met Cito Gaston, but really happy for him that he's back. He was out for a long time. Really surprised that nobody hired him to manage their team, and you played for him at one time.
Absolutely. I was a big fan of Cito Gaston, a great hitting coach, and I thought he was an outstanding manager. I couldn't understand why he was out of the game for so long.
0-1 on Eckstein. Well, what this 6-run lead will do is give Ryan Dempster the impetus to go right after Adrian Gonzalez. There's a lot of pride there. He's not going to work around him now with a lead like this, and not with 2 outs and nobody on. Do you think part of it, I mean, with this series, maybe not specifically, but in general, when guys like Gonzalez and Pujols and previously Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa, when they hit home runs and everybody says, well, why would you throw him a pitch that he can hit? I think there's a lot of pride there. And major league pitchers say, I can get this guy out. I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to just throw everything off the plate.
That's why when the game's on the line, sometimes the manager has to step in and say, hey, listen, I've seen enough. He's made me a believer. We're going to force, in this case, Chase Headley or Brian Giles, the guys hitting behind him, in the order to do the damage. But with a 6-run lead in the 6th inning of a game, this might be a chance for Ryan Dempster to establish something for the next time that he faces Adrian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez is the first Padre to hit 4 home runs in a single season at Wrigley Field. They're celebrating their 40th anniversary. Expansion team back in 1969. Got his attention a little bit. 3-0. So he's taken 2 walks. In between, he hit the home run.
Left-handed hitter at the plate. 6-run lead in the ball game. Micah Hoffpauir is going to swing around behind Gonzalez down there at first base and back up into a better defensive position as Dempster delivers a pitch.
In that game at Milwaukee, Dave Bush improved to 2-0. He got the win. 7 innings, 3 runs, 2 were earned. Trevor Hoffman got the save, his 8th. Burke Badenhop took the loss in relief of Josh Johnson for Florida. 5-3 Brewers the final. One and 2 the count. Dempster trying to improve to 7-3 lifetime against the Padres. He bounced it up there, 2-2. Ryan is 28-28 in his Cubs career. This is his 267th appearance as a Cub, his 47th start.
And with one more out, it will be 8 consecutive starts to begin this season, pitching at least 6 innings. qualifies as a workhorse.
Absolutely. .206 2/3 innings last season when he won 17. Gonzalez takes off on a 3-2 pitch, swung on and missed, inning over. Dempster has fanned 4. Cubs just got 6. They'll try to get some more in the 6th. With Fukudome, off power, and Soto due up. Kosuke Fukudome with a leadoff single, on base for the 3rd time. 7-game hit streak. And it's Hoffpower, who's 0 for 1 officially, but he's gotten on twice via the walk. Cubs 7, Padres 1. Sanchez coming back. It's outside. Padre pitchers have been missing the target pretty much throughout the afternoon. Starting with the starter go down. What a play by Gonzalez from his knees. He gets one. Relay late. Off power beat the throw by Burke to Sanchez. So it's a fielder's choice.
Not sure if Sanchez had his foot on the base there. Hard ground ball by Micah Hoffpower. Adrian Gonzalez shows he can do it on both sides of the ball. Quick turn at second base, and
that wasn't even close.
Yeah, got a huge break right there.
Scott Barry made the call at first, but it looked like Micah was out by almost a half step.
Really, the only question was if Sanchez had his foot on the bag, but he certainly did.
Well, if Bud Black were looking for an opportunity to light a fire under his team, that would have been the spot. because he would have had a legitimate beef. Giles surrounding and catching. Soto's out. Time for the Coors Light Freeze Can. Ryan Theriot and Reed Johnson just missing home runs, ending up with extra base hits. That was Theriot in the 3rd inning. And then with the bases full, Reed Johnson in the 5th.
If that basket was about a foot lower, we may have had a couple of home runs in this ball game, but you'll take those line drives off the wall any day.
Opposite field base hit for Johnson. Hoffpauir on his way to 3rd. Or you could look at it this way: if Otis Hellman had made a couple more eggs for each guy during the breakfast hour today, they might have hit it a little farther.
Well, let's blame it on Otis.
What do you say? An extra biscuit for breakfast.
That's it. Another donut. Eat a sinker to hit a sinker. I'll tell you, Otis Hellman's egg salad is known for throughout baseball. I mean, that's one of the things we used to look forward to coming to Chicago, among other things, was knowing you could have some egg salad on toast for breakfast before a ball game.
Pitch. Bobby Scales turns on it. Right field corner, foul. Scales swinging the bat with a ton of confidence. What a fairy tale start to his major league career.
Just really well balanced in that batter's box. He's letting the pitches travel, get into the hitting zone, and then a very quick swing, quick hands through the zone.
Hit his bat. He's barely had action on defense. He's made a couple of catches with no ground balls. He's done significant damage on offense with a 2-run double in the last inning. This has to feel good for Bobby against his original organization. Sure, there's some guys across the way he knows and maybe played with at one time. Milton Bradley thinking about catching maybe today. He pitched a little bit in high school. He threw a fastball and a splitter. Teammate of Chase Utley.
I don't think Milton wants to catch.
No. Deep drive by Bobby Scales out into right center, off the wall. He's going to knock in a couple more. 4 RBIs on 2 doubles by Bobby Scales. It's 9-1. What a day he's had.
And once again, that pitch is probably off the outside corner away. It still has the plate coverage to get out there and get the barrel of the bat on the ball and bang it off the ivy in right center field. What a big day for Bobby Scales and for Reed Johnson. You always wonder about those bench players that aren't getting a lot of regular at-bats. What are they going to be like when you finally start them? Well, Lou's got to be extremely pleased with the production he's gotten from Bobby Scales and Reed Johnson today.
Probably pencil Bobby in for tomorrow against Brian Moeller. Lou has been looking for somebody to grab that third base spot. That's past Gonzalez at third. Scales will trot home as Miles pulls into second base, standing up. 10-1. Aaron getting in on the act. That's the first time he's reached today.
Keep the line moving. Nice piece of hitting by Aaron Miles, staying on that ball, driving it down that third base line. tailing, sinking fastball from Sanchez. That's the only place you can hit that ball and get a good result. You try to pull it, you're going to hit a ground ball to second base.
Meredith is up. Ryan Dempster gets a hold of one. That's very deep. Off the wall. How many times have we said that? Cubs have done it today without a home run. It's 11-1. Dempster with 2 hits and 2 RBIs. They are pouring it on.
Dempster picking on a high sinker, driving it to the gap in left center field, about halfway up the wall. Now people will see the line score of this game. See 11 runs on the board for Cubs and say, well, the wind must have been blowing out at Wrigley. Well, certainly it is, but hasn't been necessary.
The Cubs were listening to Pink Floyd today.
All in all, just another double off the wall.
He's been trying to get Jose Escanio into action, and today's going to be the day. 2-1 to Soriano. Dempster's thrown 89 pitches, but again 121 in his last start. Right now, a 10-run lead. Let's see if they'll head back out there for the 7th. 4 more for the Cubs. Big day for Scales, big day for Dempster. 11-1. Only Vineline offers exclusive coverage from spring training all the way through the Cubs' next postseason run. Visit the Vineline blog at Cubs.com and order today. Some changes. The Cubs are going to put Ryan Friel into left for Soriano. Dempster warming up for the 7th as Escanio continues to loosen in the bullpen.
I have to think if Escanio was ready to come into ball game, we may have seen Dempster exit after his 6 innings of excellent work today. You could have made an easy double switch and put the pitcher in Soriano's spot at the top of the order, put Ryan Friel in the 9 hole, but Dempster back out at least to start this 7th inning. One
1-0 on Giles. Former Bear, current member of the Comcast Sportsnet staff, Jerry Azuma, as that one gets lost in the ivy. Fukudome will get it back in. Giles with a double. Jerry Azuma will handle our 7th inning stretch today. Studio analyst for Bears post-game live. Only the 3rd hit Dempster's given up.
The middle of the plate fastball. That's what you want to see now with a big lead in the ball game. Throw the ball over the plate with some movement. Force the Padres hitters to put it in play and hope it's at one of your defenders.
Tony Gwynn.
Yes, a little bit of a lead.
With 543 career doubles as a Padre. Edgar Gonzalez 0 for 2. He's flied to center both times. Ten runs for the Cubs over the last 2 innings. 6 in the 5th, 4 in the 6th. Cued foul off the end of the bat.
You know, and a lot can happen over the course of a baseball season, and this Padres team may surprise everybody and settle in and start playing some good baseball at some point in the future. But if it continues the way it's been in the early going, you got to believe it's going to be a blue light special at some point in the near future. Some veteran players on this team that may be attractive to a team looking forward to the postseason. Former Cub Henry Blanco, if the ball club happens to be looking for a solid backup catcher. David Eckstein, if somebody's looking for a utility type infielder, a spark plug, energy, high energy type of a guy. Of course, Jake Peavy's name will resurface again, I'm sure. I don't think Adrian Gonzalez is going anywhere, though. Although you want to talk about a good chip. I mean, you could get a boatload of young prospects for a guy like Adrian Gonzalez. Of course, right now he is the face of this franchise.
And he's only 27. Really backed Gonzalez off the plate. To his backside, 3-2.
He nearly walked into that one, diving out there over that outside corner.
A rainbow into right. Kosuke getting set, battling the sun. Makes a catch. Giles moving to third.
Now that's a ball that normally Kosuke would get 2 or 3 steps behind that ball and come charging in, make that throw to third base. But as you could clearly see, he was battling that sun out there. The glove up, shielding his eyes, ended up catching it flat-footed. Couldn't get much on the throw back to the infield.
Everybody back with a 10-run lead as Burke hits a ground ball. Giles is going to score. Terrio will fire. They get the out. Burke gets an RBI. 11-2. Outside corner strike to Blanco. The 100 pitches getting him into the 7th. Dempster low and away on a fastball, still throwing hard in the low to mid 90s.
I really think this is Dempster's best outing this season as far as his stuff, his location. It's really just been the last couple of innings that he's lost the zone on a couple of his deliveries, but for the most part he's hit his spot or missed in his favor all afternoon.
Larry's pretty pleased with the pitching staff in general the last few days. Came in with a 277 over the last 3 games, all wins. It was after they gave up 12 runs, 11 earned on Saturday in Milwaukee. Just 1 run allowed by the Cubs bullpen over the last 8 2/3. Swing and a miss. Time for the stretch conducted by Jerry Azuma.
Former Chicago Bear Jerry Azuma. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I never get back. So it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs.
As a lead 11-2, we get into the bottom of the 7th, and Jerry Azuma, Bears analyst on Comcast Sportsnet, former Pro Bowler, in the booth with us. I was supposed to give you grief for your 7th inning stretch rendition, but you did a really nice job.
I'm a natural.
You are. Well played, sir.
Yeah.
Beautiful day out here. Nice day to sing.
I know. This is crazy. I mean, the Cubs are doing fantastic. Scoring touchdowns. Touchdowns, extra points,
right.
Field goals.
Got the 2-point conversion and a field goal today. Safety for the Padres, 11-2. Clay Meredith is in. A lot of changes for San Diego. Kuzminoff in at 3rd. Edgar Gonzalez over to 2nd. Drew Macias in right. And Meredith making his 15th appearance. There's Kuzminoff at the hot corner. Gonzalez moving over. So the right side of the Padre infield, Edgar and Adrian Gonzalez. So Jay Cutler, that's been the big topic.
It's the big man.
What are your thoughts?
I like it. I love the move. You know, it was time for a big-time quarterback to come in, and he has a lot of potential. Now it's time for him to just basically step up and turn this offensive program around.
Swing and a miss. That's a strikeout. How long will it take him to get used to the offensive line, the receiver corps, the jargon that they use here? I mean, all that stuff.
They're working hard every day right now, and the offseason is going to be critical for him to basically learn everybody, learn how they operate. And I think the system as well, like the coaches, I think they have to basically just put in his hands, you know, and cater to him.
Can we look forward to more balls being thrown deep down the field this year?
Boy, I hope so.
Yeah.
Boy, I hope so. But I have a feeling he's going to be throwing it to his tight ends a lot. And, you know, we have the X factor with Devin Hester. So I think he's going to air it out a little bit. He has a strong arm to do it.
1-1 on Kosuke Fukudome. It's hit foul past first. So what do you have? You have the ball from the last touchdown at Soldier Field?
I do.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Actually, my mother has it. Yeah, she stole it from my house. Go figure.
Yeah, that's great. Rolled into right. That's a base hit. Yeah, I tell you, still Soldier Field, but the new places, I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house. It's pretty spectacular.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's even better on the football field.
I never went to a game at the old place.
You never went to a game?
I wish I had.
Oh, man. I was there.
I know. You scored the last touchdown.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. Amazing place.
Runner on, one out, 11-2 Cubs. There's Jerry, number 23. Great number in Chicago.
Big number in Chicago.
Big number. Big number. Opportunity presented itself. 23 was open. Took full advantage of it.
Well, you've had a lot of great accomplishments in your career going back to college at New Hampshire, but I had to believe the Brian Piccolo Award had to be one of the highlights.
Brian Piccolo was very special. You know, it's a team award, so, you know, it lets me know what the team thinks about me, what the coaching staff thinks about me, what the organization thinks about me. So it was definitely special.
2-1 on Hoffpower. So what keeps you busy in the non-football portion of the campaign?
Well, I have a foundation. It's called ASAP, the Zuma Student Assistance Program, and we just had a charity event last night at the Sex Hotel, and the turnout was spectacular. So that keeps me busy, and working with Comcast keeps me busy as well.
You had a poker tournament last night at the Hotel Saks.
Yes, it's a little Texas Hold'em, no limit. You guys poker players?
A little bit.
A little bit. I got to invite you over to my house then.
Okay. Right.
Send a car for him.
I'm going to send a nice special car for you.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Devin Hester. I mean, just one of the best ever in terms of the return game, and you did it. How tough was it? I mean, you got to take out of your mind that guys are going a million miles an hour trying to take your head off, but it's not the easiest job in the world, is it?
Not at all. I mean, you have to concentrate first on catching that football, and then you have 11 guys that are trying to kill you. You have to figure out, you know, how to get around them. So it's a tough job with special teams. It's like kill or be killed almost. So, you know, what Devin has accomplished has been spectacular. You know, no one's ever done anything like him or seen anything like that. And it's just a tremendous job from the special teams as a whole that they're able to accomplish. But he is special.
Oh, no doubt. I just think his presence when he's out there on the field, I mean, being at Soldier Field, the crowd gets up. I mean, he has to pump up his teammates.
There's an electricity, you know, when he gets on that football field. And, you know, every time he touches the ball, it could be a potential touchdown.
Coy Hill batting for Giovanni Soto. So Coy will catch the final couple of innings. Soto today knocked in a couple of runs with a sac fly and then a bases loaded walk. Both were go-ahead RBIs. So you're from Worcester, Mass, right?
Worcester. What's the max?
How often do people say, what's it like in Worcester?
All the time. All the time. Yeah, I get that all the time.
So did you grow up rooting for all the Boston teams?
I did. You know, just growing up, you had to. You almost had to, you know. Bruins, Celtics, Red Sox.
But you're a Chicago guy now.
That's right.
You were pulling for the Bulls, right? No
yes.
comment? Okay.
Yes,
right.
yes, I was. Yes.
That was a great series.
It was a fantastic series.
It's a great time to be a sports fan here in Chicago.
Yeah, it is.
Cubs playing well.
Right.
Blackhawks are in the conference finals.
That's right.
Bulls gave the Celtics all they could handle. And everybody's very excited about the Chicago Bears.
Very, very excited, which they should be. It's going to be a special year for the Bears this year.
3-2 on Hill. Fukudome runs. Ball 4. And we'll give Reed Johnson another opportunity. He's had a good day. 2 hits, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. In your time here as a player, I don't know how often you came out to the ballpark. Did you become friends with any of the Cubs in particular over the years?
No one in particular over the years. You know, I've met several of the Cubs, but never BFFs.
What? Who's like your closest friend in terms of your football part of your life?
Just
who's the guy that you'll talk to more than anybody else?
I mean, I still talk and keep in contact with a lot of the current Bears. You know, everyone. Lance Briggs. You know, I was texting him earlier today. Brian Urlacher, Rasheed Davis, Peanut Tillman, Nathan Vasher.
We've had most of those guys up here singing the 7th inning stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Good guys.
Yeah, great guys.
Not very good singers.
Good you're better than all those guys. Don't tell them we said that.
I won't tell him.
The 0-2, a swing and a miss. Jerry Azuma, we appreciate your time. We enjoy your commentary on Comcast Sportsnet. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
All right. Thank you.
All Cubs today. Bradley and the Cubs will slug it out with Lance Berkman and the Astros here on the north side. Who looks a little agitated there. Coverage starts at BMW Cubs pregame live. Cubs Astros Saturday at 11:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. You better tune in. You don't want Lou to do that to you.
Bark at you.
Clay Hill stays in to catch. And Jose Escanio will do the pitching.
He said he was looking for a soft landing for Escanio, hoping for a game just like this to get him in there, get his feet wet, hopefully get him into that strike zone quickly, make him a usable piece out there in that bullpen.
The numbers on Ryan Dempster, very good. 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and the home run allowed to Adrian Gonzalez as Jody Garrett bats for Meredith. Enjoyed our chat with Jerry Azuma. Garrett pops it up, and it's back out of play.
He's going to send a car to pick you up for that poker game at his house. It's quite a challenge.
1-1 is low.
That's one thing I don't understand, man. The televised poker, on some of the networks that show it, especially late at night.
Yeah. Some people are really into it.
Yeah, and the announcers, that's what gets me. They can see the cards that the other guy has. Oh, I can't believe he doesn't raise here. Well, he doesn't know what the other guy has. You do. I don't get that.
Two pitch is outside.
Sure, it's easy if you know the cards that everybody at the table has down.
Right. Rounded foul. Big Heath Bell is their closer. We haven't seen him in the series until today even get loose in the bullpen. $39,728 in the ballpark today. They've enjoyed themselves with the Cubs leading by 9 in the 8th inning.
I showed you Heath Bell warming up for the Padres just to get an inning of work today.
Another foul ball.
Bell has yet to give up a run this year in 11 appearances. He's recorded 8 saves, 11 2/3 innings, only 5 base hits, and no runs.
This battle, it continues on. Ascanio and Garrett. 9 pitches already. Jose's first big league appearance this year, 6 with the Cubs last season, all in relief. 20th career appearance. He made 13 with the Braves in 2007. Got called up from AAA Iowa a few days ago when Chad Fox was placed on the disabled list. Actually was selected from Iowa. Johnson makes the catch and Garrett is retired. Looking for their 4th consecutive win. Barring disaster here over the final 2 innings, they'll get it and then welcome in the Astros tomorrow. So we check in on Houston. The Astros lead the Rockies 4-3 in the top of the 6th in Denver.
One thing Ascanio gives Lou Piniella is a long guy in that bullpen. He was starting down in Iowa, 6 starts for the I-Cubs. Definitely a guy that could come in and give you 2, 3, 4 innings if your starter happens to leave the ball game early. And for the most part, the rest of the relievers down there, maybe with the exception of David Patton, are probably 2-inning max guys. You wouldn't expect to send them out there much more than that unless they kept their pitch count way down.
Hairston pops it up. Scales goes back and then gives way as Terrio kept his feet moving. 2 down. The Cubs strongly encourage the use of public transportation. The CTA Red Line stops directly at Wrigley Field at the Addison Station. For drivers, DeVry University offers remote parking and bus service for just $6. For more details, visit Cubs.com or call the CTA hotline 773-836-7000. Drew Macias with his first at bat today. He's now playing right. Train just went by. Fastball, slider, and changeup. A repertoire for Escaño from Maracay, Venezuela.
No walks. Come right after him here. You know who's waiting in the on-deck circle. Well, 9-run lead, but still don't want to give Gonzalez an opportunity to do any more damage.
Well, he's not going to walk him, but Macias just left the yard to the back of the bleachers. It's his 3rd career home run, his first this season.
Well, nobody likes to give up long taters, but I guarantee you that Lou would have been a lot more upset if he did walk Macias rather than challenge him with a big lead in the ball game. Hey, you take your chances. He could have very easily popped that ball up or rolled over and hit a ground ball to the right side, but Macias squares it up pretty good, hits it in the back of the bleachers out there in right field.
Gonzalez, 2 walks and a home run. You know, I'm sure there have been studies done about this, but why do left-handed hitters they have that much more majestic looking swing, even though Gonzalez missed it? You just don't see righties swing like that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Well, they finally retire him. It's 11-3 to the bottom of the 8th. Thanks, Gail. Heath Bell is trying to get an inning of work. And tough to find lately with his team closing in on a 6th consecutive defeat. And he faces Bobby Scales, strike one. Bobby with back-to-back 2-run doubles in the 5th and the 6th innings. I don't even have to look it up. Career high in RBIs today for Bobby. 4.
That's a safe bet. Saw those opponents' batting average against Heath Bell. Right-handers have yet to get a hit against the Padres closer. 0 for 15 so far this season. It's a good thing the Cubs have a couple of lefties leading off the inning.
Well, good thing for Heath Bell, he's a big guy because he has enormous shoes to fill. First time in a decade and a half Trevor Hoffman hasn't been their closer. 1-2. Alexis pursuing perfection, player of the game, Bobby Scales.
Lots of crooked numbers in that box score. You love to see that. Couple of doubles, 4 RBI, scored 2 runs. A busy man today.
And that is translated into crooked numbers on the scoreboard. Back to Bell.
A couple of 2-run doubles in the game for Bobby Scales, both coming on pitches up and out over the plate. That one lined into the gap in right center field. And banged one off the wall, also in right center field. Very similar pitches. Out away from him, great plate coverage.
Aaron Miles feathers it over Kuzminoff and into left for a base hit. Jose Escaño's going to bat and try to finish him off in the 9th. All right, Jose. Cubs still need a triple. This is his first major league plate appearance. Healthy cut. Big Z cheering him on. He'll pitch in the Florida State League over the weekend. Heath Bell lost some weight in the offseason, about 25 pounds. And he claims that his commitment to the Nintendo Wii Fit game is the reason why. Have you ever tried yoga on the Wii?
Can't say as I have.
It's WII. As Escaño strikes out. Well, I guess it works.
Well, whatever it takes. I would think that he lost 25 pounds. He's still a big boy. Apparently he can carry it. Uses that lower body, those thick legs to really drive toward home plate. Fastball in the mid to upper 90s. Well, you mentioned Trevor Hoffman for 10 years, has been the closer for the Padres, and what a difference in pitching styles. We saw Hoffman with the Brewers last week. A fastball in the mid 80s now with that great straight changeup. Heath Bell's not going to finesse anybody. He's going to come in firing bullets.
1-0 to Ryan Friel, a strike, 1-1. Well, the game, you create your own character, and it told Bell that he was overweight. So I guess that motivated him. Bell's a little different. He said he's a big kid, plays with all the toys that his son plays with. G.I. Joes, Legos, Hot Wheels.
One of the great things about having a son. Play with all the toys you didn't get.
Yeah. Some Hot Wheels, but it's really for him, not for his son. He strikes out Creel, and we'll go to the ninth. Cubs 11, Padres 3. Elevates into left center. Johnson pulls it down. Wow. As the Blackhawks charge through the Western Conference Finals, stick with Comcast Sportsnet for the best coverage in town. Pre- and post-game shows, reaction from the stadium, and all the news and highlights in Sports Night. Your home for the best coverage of the Western Conference Finals is Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. We'll find out later tonight who their opponent will be. Game 7, Detroit hosting Anaheim. 1-0 on Kevin Kuzmanoff. His first at bat, he came in to play defense in the 7th. At third. Swing and a miss. One of the hallmarks of an elite team is to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And this will be the first 3-game sweep of the season, and the Cubs caught the Padres at the right time. They're really off their game. They got off to a hot start.
What you think about the way the Cubs went about winning this series? They beat their ace Jake Peavy in the first game. Came back and banged around Chris Young last night, a guy that had only given up 1 home run all season. Surrendered 4 to the Cubs last night. And just continued today against Chad Godin.
2 outs. Second punch out for Scano. Let's take a peek at the Felco upcoming schedule. Astros in starting tomorrow. We'll have the middle game here on Comcast Sportsnet. Off day Monday, off to the road, St. Louis and San Diego next week. Edgar Gonzalez hits it foul. Got the corner, 2 strikes. Fans never did get to sing Go Cubs Go last night. The game was halted in the 8th inning.
Well, for what it's worth, I played it in my car on my drive home last night.
There you go. There's a pitch. Called strike 3. Cubs win. Cubs sweep. Escanio gets the final 2 innings in the books. Dempster gets the victory. And they pounded him today 11-3.